the After Hours Gaming League website, which is of course AHGL.TV, we do see that in Division 1, Epic and Palantir will be the two contestants we're watching duke it out today. Right now, both of them are undefeated. We see that they do not have unmarred 3-0 records throughout. But whoever wins today's match has a strong chance of advancing to the playoffs, as it is top 3 advance in each scenario. As we continue to scroll down, we see in Division 2, Amazon and IBM are leading things off, both 2-0. Also down in Division 3, EA, the newcomer, managing to best Microsoft, taking that #1 spot, but again, has only been 2 weeks of league play. And down in Division 4, we see Facebook, who tragically were unable to reach the finals held at their own headquarters last season, are rocking it up in group number 4. In Division 5, I kid you not, Twitch TV is part of the After Hours Gaming League. That is correct. If you have ever been interested in seeing what DJ Wheat does or what the COO of Twitch TV likes to do in response to a Baneling all-in cheese, you can find out that the answer is lose. Let's go ahead and hop into this After Hours Gaming League Week 1 match. Rob, I ask your humble opinion, how did that monologue go for you?
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for catching me up to date. You know, I haven't had time to watch all the matches, and that was the perfect opportunity for me to very quickly catch up on what's been going on in the After Hours Gaming League.
Rob, you are certainly an empowerer. In the left position, we have from Team Epic, it is Llama, who I believe I heard was an actual llama. It's incredible the way he can micro with hooves.
It's really hard to play with hooves, yeah. I was just going to point that out. And down at the 6 o'clock position, playing for... Can't remember.
It is Team Palantir.
Team Palantir. Oh, yes. I remember being very excited about this. We do have OCD Woo-Man.
And just for the record, his last name is Woo. Just to clarify.
So, not woman, it's pronounced Woo-Man.
That is indubitably correct. Now, for any of you who do not know, Epic in the left corner makes medical software for large and medium-sized medical companies, and Palantir is a data analysis company because, as you might imagine, the amount of data that is just throwing itself at you nowadays is so great that it's sometimes hard to solve those problems, or actually even start solving them.
Asking each other what their companies make, trying to figure out, scope them out.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to discuss. Oh, what you make analytical software. Well, I make software that saves people's lives.
Yeah, look at that awesome software. Now, this is always a good tactic to get a tell. What kind of software do you make? Proxy 2 racks in the middle. Oh no! And it's going to try to sneak that little information out, but it looks like we are seeing Woo-Man plant down that refinery. Going to be going for a little bit more of a standard Terran play, either some sort of early Marauder opening or perhaps a 1-1-1.
And now over on the Protoss side, he does have his assimilator going. Not exactly sure what he's going to do.
Oh, wow.
No! First blood to the probe. Gets that first kill, is able to delay that barracks quite a bit, and now he can actually keep that probe there because it is going to get back one more energy, and we'll have a little bit of time to react. That forces him to pull off an additional SCV, and now his probe's just going to get much more free information.
Yeah, I don't think that Woo-Man is in a particular... Oh,
whoa,
no!
What?
Planning down a pylon. He does not want to be up against a reactor tech lab or anything that involves add-on of any sort. So let's see how Woo-Man decides to respond to this kind of pressure. There is a cancel planted down, and it looks like another one planted down. He wants to be able to cancel it at any point in time. And look at that timing, able to escape freely.
Doesn't prevent it lifting off, unfortunately.
But this is great because this pylon gives a little bit of extra scouting. Sure, he would lift and land, but he would lift and land right next to that pylon, which gives him a little bit of vision time. Is it a reactor? Is it a tech lab? So now he knows he's going to be up against some kind of Reaper or Marauder play.
And realistically, it did only cost him 25 minerals, right? So totally worth it. And he was able to get his probe out of there. He didn't have to have his probe running around the base and then ultimately losing it.
There we do see a Stalker now popping up. There's the second assimilator down for Llama. Looks like the Palantir Terran just trying to poke around. It looks like he may just try to hide up here, waiting for a better time to do a spot at this expansion. If there's no expansion by around 5:30 or so, you can always begin to get a little bit nervous, but oh, Woo-Man.
That's a lot of Raxes.
Undoubtedly. Looks like he is following up with a Reaper, getting that concussive shell, making his intentions known. This Reaper shouldn't do too much damage. We do see Llama already expertly checking the back of his base for that walk-in.
Yeah, and that's a really awesome play by Llama. I mean, he was able to see that tech lab, so obviously he's got a pretty good idea about what's going on. Oh, and that Reaper maybe jumping to his doom.
It looks like he pops up onto the high ground, and he hops right on back down. Again, great play there by Llama. Again, that one pylon that seemed so extraneous at the start gave him that extra little bit of scout information. And damn, fast stim. He just doesn't want to expand.
And that's, we talked about that earlier, that pylon really only cost him 25 minerals. Not only did it save him a probe, but now it also prevented him from possibly losing another probe to that Reaper, just by getting all of that free information.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Whoa, that is, that's a bit of float over on the Protoss side. Let's see, Warp Gate is getting there. He also does have his Nexus down at about the 40% mark. He's also adding his 2 additional gateways, as we just saw in that main, and we can bet that we're going to see a lot of units real soon.
Oh, great response. As we just pull away, we see 4 gateways planning down. He did see those 2 barracks. He saw the 2 tech lab, but most importantly, he saw no attempt whatsoever for Wu Man to head to the late game.
Oh, and actually, that wasn't what I expected. We do have a command center going down for Wu Man.
Wow, it looks like by getting no reactor on this one barracks and by just skipping the production cycle just briefly, he has enough time to plant down a single command center. But man, that stim is fast, and this unit count is getting very high very quickly.
And obviously after that stim, what he's really going to want, if we see additional stalkers out on the field, is that concussive shells, because concussive shells and stim this early in the game could be devastating.
Yeah, there's combat shield already plopping down as well. He's going to get that trifecta of upgrades, and it looks like a Reaper did manage to pop up into the main, got 5 kills. If we head on over to the unit tab, we see it's 21 probes to 23 SCVs. Llama's feeling more pressure than ever to replenish just those probes, but that's going to be a problem, because right now what he needs is units, and Wu Man looking a little bit unusually passive at this point in time.
Yeah, he has so many units, and really he had a pretty large window of opportunity because we weren't seeing a lot of units coming out of Llama quite yet. Now, he does have a bit of forces, but I'm not sure that he would want to engage with that army at all.
Oh no, Llama being a very overconfident bovine right now, advancing aggressively to the south side of the map. He does have these extra sentries that will allow him to plant down a couple force fields, get the retreat up, but if he's not careful, I mean, the fact that the Marauders have stim, they can just stim, sprint down, and kill everything.
The most incredible part about that statement is, are llamas bovine? Because
yes, as well as equestrian. And it looks like Wu Man now advancing forward. It seems that he is going to try to do a poke, but oh no, there's the stim on the Marauder. The Guardian Shield plants up, the double Guardian Shield. No amount of sentry spells is going to deny this defense.
Not at all, and there we see the concussive shell just slowing down absolutely everything. He's only going to need to stim a couple of units, and he loses everything. That's 3 Stalkers and 3 sentries. He's also losing his Frati pylon as well. Ouch.
Oh no! 300 units lost, or 300 resources lost versus 1550. This is going to have to be a miracle. Llama, I mean, if it was hard to type and micro on a keyboard with hooves, imagine how hard it must be to clean up tears.
Oh, you can't pick up the tissues. It's going to make his fur all messy.
He's in his room, and you're like, is everything okay? You're hearing him clop away at the Kleenex box. I'm fine, Mom. Leave me alone.
Sneezing from all of the dust from breaking the box everywhere.
Wu Man is now following up with infantry weapons.
And a push.
Oh, looks like he has the spirit of Bit by Bit Prime inside of him, because he is going for the kill.
Well, now he's actually in a great position to possibly scan it. Gets the SCVs up there for the vision, is able to possibly take down that Immortal, only has 52 HP.
Ooh, it manages to stay alive.
But he does decimate pretty much the rest of the army, leaving that Nexus to be free pickings for Wu Man.
Oh, this could be a very fast win for the Palantir team, whose company mascot is, of course, the Care Bear. And I'm not just saying that as a joke. They have Care Bears all over their office. Ooh, nice placement there on that Immortal. Picking that off, but the Nexus falls.
Ouch, and this could really put Llama into a tough position to hoof himself out of. He's going to possibly try to just maintain that ramp right there. He does have sentries, so he can try some sneaky shenanigans, and wow, surprisingly enough, he is trying to place down his Nexus again with his opponent's army actually just going back to the center of the map.
Well, I mean, what's interesting is that the Terran player from Palantir managed to do a lot of damage, but had to expend 1-2 stims or so on about half of his army, so it's very, very low health. Llama is aware that even, whoa, with this small force, if it's in the right position, he can do a ton of damage. He even has enough to do another warp and cycle, but right now he's devoting more of his time to expanding, getting his footing back up. And Wu Man, despite all that aggression at the start, is very far behind on his factory tech, and looks like, ooh, has forgotten to build a lot of workers in the unit station. It looks like the Protoss is actually ahead in the worker count.
Wow, and even after that last exchange, we did see that Llama was able to keep that one Immortal alive, right? So now he's got a 2 Immortal army, which means that he's going to be basically 2 volleying Marauders, which is pretty quick to own him up.
Absolutely. It looks like we have the Twilight Council going down the Robo Bay. This is very, very brave by Llama right now. And brave is so close to stupid in StarCraft 2, but Llama's definitely treading on the correct side of things. He's getting the Twilight Council, he's getting the robotics facility. It's brave because he is building no more reinforcing units, just relying on this ragtag force, Zealots, Sentries, Immortals, but it's just barely enough to defend this force. It's going to be a whole different story when medevacs pop out, though.
Fortunately enough, he is able to get his footing because we saw Wu Man fall a little bit behind on economy, right? Like, if we had seen Wu Man really push his economy just a little bit harder during that push, he would be significantly further ahead because we saw a lot of probes die there. But fortunately for Llama, that's not the case, and right now Llama is pretty much back in the game.
This is one of those reasons why it's so important to continue to build workers while you're in the middle of a battle. It can be so distracting, especially if you're in the midst of a tournament situation in Game 1. You got the adrenaline flow and your heart's pounding. You know that if you lose, you're going to go into work next day and no one's going to make eye contact with you. And that's not something that any employee wants to deal with. So, of course, Wu Man feeling understandably a little bit under pressure, but, oh, looks like he was thinking about bringing some more SCVs. Actually, I nearly forgot that he brought a substantial amount of workers into that first attack. I probably shouldn't discredit him so much. LOL, he's not making workers. His workers were in the battle, Rob.
But that doesn't change the fact that there were still like 3 in the main.
You see that observer continuing to poke around, and looks like he has a pretty reasonable mixture, not adding on any more barracks, but instead getting ready for another attack, it seems.
Yeah, and as he continues to mass his units out there, we can see that Llama has pretty much secured that upper left-hand expansion. It is about at the 50% mark. He still hasn't thrown down the pylon to proxy defend, but because of where his units are and because those other rocks are still up, he really doesn't have to worry about the Terran player poking in.
And there's the scan. Looks like, oh, he thought he saw an observer, but here it is. It looks like it might just waltz directly into the scan. Manages to avoid it a little bit. It looks like Wu Man is advancing forward, and this is going to be a really tough defense for the epic Protoss.
And now Llama is really going to have to pull it together to survive this. Throws down a couple preemptive force fields. Wow, and he actually just delays it for a little bit. I guess all that he really needs at this point is a little bit more time. If he's able to delay to get to another warping cycle and to get that second Colossus out, he's going to be in much better position for this battle. And Wu Man knows it, and he looked like he's starting to pull back.
The pink Terran from Palantir, though, has a huge lead in the supply army tab. We do see that one range upgrade is inches from finishing, and if the Palantir Terran decides to move in the epic Protoss, it's going to be in a lot of trouble. There's the scan, and oh, he needs to hit in the next 20 seconds or else that range upgrade's going to be done.
Oh dear, and it's getting closer and closer. He also gets an additional warping round. It does look like Extended Thermal Lance is going to finish off. Only 5 more seconds. We do see one of the medevacs picking up 3 Marauders and a couple Marines trying to drop in the back of the base, but that's going to get picked down pretty quickly. Oh, he is able to take down 1 Stalker, 2 Stalkers. This is almost getting cost efficient. Nope, not quite. He moves in to engage in the center, and the Zealots are absolutely sitting on the Marauders. Ouch!
But it looks like he manages to pick off 1-2 Colossi almost immediately. A brief misclick on the Nexus, but managed to repair that quite quickly. The Marines left to the backside until the Colossi numbers did fall, and it looks like it might be a narrow defense by the epic Protoss. Oh, this Colossus will indeed fall. An extremely thin exchange. Both players walking away without really any units.
Wow, and this is actually a really awesome situation for Llama. If he's able to completely hold off this attack, he comes out 1 base ahead right now.
That's a great point. I mean, at every point in this game, it looks like Llama is slowly pulling farther and farther and farther ahead. But another huge swell of units advancing forward. Landed Vikings trundling forth, but the Colossus pops out just in time. The probe stepping out onto the field yet again, and it looks like they may be the key to helping him stay alive just a smidge longer.
Oh, and now there is only one Stalker there to fight those remaining Vikings. He could possibly try to pick off. Oh, and falls back. That Colossus was pretty much ripe for the picking for a solid few seconds there. Where if he had focused it down and stemmed that Marauder, we probably could have seen that Colossus go down, putting him in a marginally better position. It would have put him in a really good spot to also get up into that upper left base if he scouted it.
I mean, this is a very dangerous spot to be in when you're having that good old in-tournament panic where you're macroing as often as you think of it, which ends up being way more times than you do in practice, and you get a ton more queued up than you should actually be spending that money on. We do see that all the unit-producing structures are churning units out, but there's a lot in the bank, and more importantly, there's a lot that's just queued up, sitting idle right now. Llama is starting to gain a lead, and Wooman really needs to add on more unit-producing structures.
Now, as Llama starts to try to take over the center of this map, he's actually in a very dangerous position. Oh, and he knows it, pulling back those units, because really, stemmed Terran units, if you're out in the center of the map, they're pretty much going to tear through those armored units.
Now, one thing to note about these two teams is the action has finally died down by the 20-minute mark. Both these teams are newcomers to the After Hours Gaming League, and they're both undefeated. It's great to see that the team list that expanded from 8 to 30 in Season 2. There's a ton of Starcraft 2 talent on there, and it is literally all around you. I don't care if you're on a college campus.
I can feel it. My body is ready.
That is absolutely true, but it might just be because you're in my room, Robert Simpson.
Yes.
Undoubtedly, we do see that it looks like Llama going for the gold base, playing very passively. The only thing that's really missing are those upgrades, but he's all up on that with the double chrono.
And as you see, both these players continue to macro up. Now, Wooman was finally able to get down there and take his third base as well, but it does look like we could see Llama taking his fourth up at the gold.
Wooman now has that planetary fortress there just in case of any sort of counterattack. Does look like Llama has, high Templar in the mix. Ooh, his army, though, is still dangerously small. I can't believe how much he's getting away with. Look at half his opponent's supply, and that's because Llama is smartly leaving all those gateways idle. Everywhere, he is adding on as much infrastructure as he can, and as he sees this push out, I guarantee we're going to see some big warp-ins happen very, very quickly.
Now, if Llama's able to hold off this attack, he is going to have a clear, definitive lead in this game, as long as he doesn't lose either of his bases.
But he's getting dangerously close to having those warp-ins not done in time. He does have charge up. It's a lot of Vikings trying to advance forward.
He doesn't quite have enough Stalkers to stop all those Vikings. The Vikings are going to be able to get in there. Only takes them two
shots.
Colossus. Ouch.
But he does have Storm done. He has enough energy to do that storming action. And there's the Storm on the Vikings. He stems. He manages to stay out of the first Storm. The second Storm does some nice damage. That Colossus falls. Brilliant Storm. And he doesn't look in time. He was in a nice spot. Could have pulled back. Another fairly even exchange. And we're finally starting to see that barracks count climb up for Wooman.
We saw in the last battle, the previous battle before this, that Llama also was able to hold while he expanded his third, that ultimately having Marauders sit next to Zealots is really going to mess up your seeming advantage, and we saw it once again in that fight as well. The Zealots just ultimately had too much time to really rail into those Marauders.
And given the fact that there's been so much aggression at the start of the game, it looks like our Terran player, with the use of those mules, is mining himself out so quickly. Protosses are realizing more and more and more, if I just stay passive, Terran burns through his money so much more quickly than I do. We see the natural still very, very much so healthy, the main a little bit mined out, but we have a three mining base Protoss from Team Epic versus essentially a 1.5 mining base from Team Palantir.
Yeah, and pretty much we could even almost say 3.5 for the Protoss, because he does have that high yield-ish, although I do get... Actually, yes, I'm going to stick with that statement. 3.5.
I think that's reasonable. I don't think there's a necessary need to point out things like perhaps it's actually a 3.3 and 4/7, I would say, more so. We do see there's the 2-2 upgrade going down for Llama. Zealot whacking and wailing away, checking all those expansions. Yeah, I think that this could be the real hero story, the real John Henry story of this tournament. If this Zealot does batter down these destructible rocks without the use of any of those fancy schmancy machines.
I was a Zealot, and I had a dream. I had a dream that I could break this rock, and I did. I did thanks to Llama. Clack, clack, click, clack, clack.
Looks like Llama is going to try to do some Warp Prism harass. Loses track of it a little bit, and it looks like Wooman will be able to thwart it comfortably. Back in the main base, we're starting to see that Blink Stalker play step in there. So that does mean that it will have a little bit of an opportunity to pick off any of those pesky medevacs, but more importantly, those Vikings that are ripping down his Colossus numbers. But one of the best ways to respond to Vikings is to build no Colossi.
Right, that will ultimately nullify the Vikings' effects on your Protoss.
I mean, despite the fact of being about halfway up the food chain, Llamas can identify patterns such as Colossi's weakness to those Vikings. That's exactly what we're seeing the Llama from Team Epic pull off right here.
And not only is he much above his intelligence level for where he is in the food chain, he is also, I think, very clearly pulled ahead in this game. He actually did just have about a 20 food lead, and then he was supply capped, not building any pylons. And so of course he makes me bite my tongue. Oh man, and that Viking is going to chase down that Warp Prism just a little bit. Oh man, and Wooman's able to pull ahead slightly, but once again we see Llama taking another base.
Loving this passive style from the Epic Protoss, and I'm not calling him the Epic Protoss because it's necessarily referring to his play. It is his company, Team Epic. Oh no, a massive DT drop. Epic Protoss now playing truly epic.
Cool. Gets in there, and those DTs are actually doing a bit of damage to the production building. Surprised that he is going straight for those, although I guess at this point in the game, really, if you're going to get 3 building kills, you might as well take it.
And it looks like, oh, now heading into the worker patch, doing some massive damage as he now is able to one-shot kill those SCVs. Marines now pulling back, the Ghosts are into the fray, doing some extra bonus damage to all those units, and EMP is needed to pick off that last remaining Ghost. That's what they look like without anything to shroud them. And it looks like still another Ghost is left there. I'm loving these mass DT warp-ins. It forces so many units to pull back into the main.
It does, and he's also clearly been very cost-effective. I mean, every Ghost that he kills is just totally worth it there. And it doesn't look like he has any scans left. We actually see that one Dark Templar able to walk around freely through the base. He is only building a planetary fortress at his high yield, which totally makes sense. Oh, may lose a tech lab. Anything that these Dark Templars are able to do to make their cost effectiveness just a little better is amazing.
Oh, and it looks like there's a big engagement. We see some very nice EMPs have landed, but oh, the Storm's doing more damage to the Zealots than to anything else. But there's so many freaking Storms. The Medevacs don't pull back. Feedbacks and Storms chew through everything. The Marauder count, the Marauder count, though, looks to be a touch too high. Archon's trying to morph into the fray, but look at how low health all those Marauders are. But this could be a potentially big step for OCD Wooman.
Now, if those Archons are able to, maybe they can get off a couple kills there. Nope, those Marauders just chew right through them. And we do see a couple of the Stalkers falling back, although Llama finishes the engagement in an awesome position. He does have 2 more Colossi back at his base, and now that it looks like Wooman has pretty much that's a lot of warp gates. So now that Wooman has pretty much stopped producing Vikings, he can start making his Colossi again.
Great late game play. He's seen the amount of Ghosts that are in the fray. Oh my god! John Henry proved everyone right. Except it looks like he is now heading down to the bottom right side. We see 2 Ghost Academies up there. Oh, another nice EMP in this engagement. But it looks like there's no medevacs on the field. The Marauders are going to have a very difficult time healing. Oh, there's another feedback on the medevac.
Oh man, the Zealots giving those Marauders high fives all day as the Marauders get chewed right through. And now Llama could be in position to close out the game.
Oh, a brutal game for the Palantir Terran, who was putting on so much pressure at the start of the game. But the Epic Protoss, slow and steady, getting to the point where it isn't so slow anymore, rapidly racking up huge numbers of Colossi, a Warp Prism drop in the main base as well.
Oh man, and he's got an absolutely massive food lead at this point in the game, really doing a great job just pulling apart his opponent from every side possible. Also, the Extended Thermal Lance clearly just choking up that high yield, and it's looking pretty dim for Palantir at this point.
I love the way that the Epic Protoss is just carefully positioning himself. He's been slow and defensive all game long, even with this gigantic army, not going to try to go for any big risky attack move kill. He's just warping in the back, putting pressure on, continuing to try to catch OCD from Team Palantir off position. There's a scan to try to check if there are indeed any more DTs. Nice pick right there, but Llama suddenly has an idea. That bottom right Slayer of John Henry. Look at that one kill. I don't kill much, but when I do, I take down celebrities from lore.
Oh man, and that is quite a bit of units getting in there, and now we can't see that surround on the
Oh!
No, gets off the storm onto the SCVs, and there's the GG, now putting Epic 1-0 above Palantir.
Epic, with an incredibly solid game number 1, manages to bring the series to 1-0. And look at this, Rob. He doesn't even leave the game. He hangs out for a brief period of time to continue.
Gotta get in and kill all the buildings.
I mean, that is indeed the most rewarding part of a game of StarCraft 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just seen Game 1 go down. Stay tuned, because Game number 2 between Palantir and Epic coming up in 2 minutes.